You're listening to Rocket Night.
Hi, Cherise. This is Lester Chambers of the legendary Chambers Brothers. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for caring for musicians and letting the whole entire world know we rock at night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights live a dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. Not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel up good. Get on down.
Let's talk about your new album that's out, India, Seattle. And you were saying before to me that it's not a place, India, Seattle. Explain to me what that means, why you named it that.
That it's not a place?
Yeah. Isn't that what you said? It's not a city?
I think the title, I do find a lot of people are always asking me about the title, which I like love and hate, because I think it is like, the title is, it does mean like, India, the country, and Seattle, the city, very much so. But I think it's not like specifically about it's not specifically about like, oh, me like going to those places and having like time there. It is like, for me, that like the title is representative of like, for me, a specific person, and also like a time in my life. But it's just, these two places are like the most specific and representative and metaphorical of like that like relationship for me, I would say. And I don't know. I just thought like, for some reason the title just like, I knew this album like should be called that. I actually tried for the longest time to not call it, Indie Seattle, or like change the name or something. But I ended up just having to like name it that, which is its rightful name, I guess. So
That's what we'll play.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
That's kinda...
as far as India goes, are you into Eastern religion or cultures?
Nope. I think it was just this like, I kind of thought I would always just basically just like go on a trip. I think I've had lots of friends who like spent time in India or went there on a trip, and it's always kind of this really interesting kind of experience that people can't explain. Because I think it's such like it's kind of the most like foreign culture in so many senses. Just because it's so kind of like Eastern. When you live in North America or the West, I think it's the most starkly different culture probably in the world.
So it sounds exotic.
Yeah, but I don't know if exotic. That it's hard. There's people always that go there, and like friends of mine, and they don't come back and they're like, oh, it's so fun, it's so exotic. They're like, oh, it like kind of fucking sucked actually.
Well, there's a lot of poverty there.
What's that?
There's a lot of poverty.
Yeah, and it's just a hard place, I guess. So.
But then if you think about it, look at all these people in the 60s, like the Beatles, that would go to India and do all the spiritual stuff. Get closer to God or whatever. That they were trying to find something, it seems.
Yeah. I think in like there's the movie Darjeeling Limited. There's this movie that's one of my favorite ones, and it's about these kind of like American brothers that are kind of go there on this like family trip in a sense. And I think everybody goes to like I find a lot of people like go to India and they kind of have the idea that they're gonna like have that spiritual experience or like find something. In reality, like I think sometimes sometimes that's a bad way to go on like a trip, because if you don't like, if you go somewhere or like hit the road and you expect, to be enlightened, or you kind of expect a certain experience, if you don't get it, I think you're really disappointed.
Yeah, it's a letdown.
I feel like if I ever went to India, the country, I would really try not to expect a lot, because often expectations are not true of what something will be like.
I know exactly what you mean. It's better to just have an open mind and not get your hopes up.
Yeah.
Because people seem to be on these journeys lately. I notice even with friends where they're hitchhiking across the country or doing these walks, like, 1,000-mile walks or whatever. I almost feel people are searching for something today. I don't know.
I think that's like great, but I think there's like, going into it with, if you go into it with the mind of like, of being very open, I think that's probably the best idea, because if you're going, if you're trying to get a specific thing, I think that's not often how the world works.
Yeah.
Is like, and that, like, if the album, like one of the themes of the album is like, hence the like feathers on the cover.
I noticed. I was going to ask you, is that kind of your trademark or something? What's with the feathers?
Well, we just like kind of this theme of like, life isn't what you expect it to be generally, and I think expectations are a pretty hard thing, because that's not. I don't think that's the way the world works.
Well, the feathers, is it like a Native American thing, or?
No, we just picked some feathers to put on there.
You just like the feathers.
Seen the title sequence, the Forrest Gump?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. That was my next question. The Forrest Gump, how the feather floats around and throughout.
I just say that.
Yeah.
I just say it like there's a very loose reference to that.
Wow, I mean, there's a lot of symbolism and, like you said, metaphors in most of your work that I don't know if people would pick up on it, though.
Yeah.
It seems more personal.
Yeah, it's pretty personal, yeah.
Like East Shore, West Shore, you were saying that there's metaphors with that. What does that mean to you?
What does the song mean?
Yeah, well, the song and just, it's a comparison contrast almost. East Shore, West Shore. If you could repeat, because we were talking about that on Friday.
Yeah. Well, like the song is about a long distance relationship or a lack thereof, maybe. And specifically, it's about like two places on Vancouver Island. One being Victoria, one being Tofino, which are like pretty different. Like they're on either side of the island, kind of. And that's what it's about. It's like, I think it holds some metaphor, but it's also very like specific. I think good songs are generally like really specific, but also really universal. And
a lot of your songs deal with where you're from, the Pacific Northwest. Do you think that people can relate to it, your songs in other areas?
I think like anybody relates to a story, and if a story is like set, if the story has like a setting, people like can get into that. You just can like paint this picture, right? The way someone can get into like, I love the movie Forrest Gump, but I've never been to the South. But they kind of paint that, they paint that picture, and you can kind of get into that world. And it doesn't mean that it means less because I've never been to, Greenwood, Alabama. It just means that like, means that maybe like, I'm more into the story because it's more imaginative, because I don't have my own personal references to that.
I see. Well, it's like historical novels. We didn't live back in, let's say, the 1600s, but we can still kind of relate.
Yeah.
I mean,
really.
Humans don't change much, do they?
Yeah, but I think as a writer, you need to be writing about like what you know or what you can imagine. Often what you know or can imagine is like, is the place you are from. I don't think it's the most honest thing to like write songs with the setting of the Deep South when I like don't know anything about it, because it'll be hard to to have something good to say, you know?
So it's just familiarity and okay, I can get that. Now you said your background is in English literature. I mean, obviously your music is poetry set to music.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself to be a poet or a musician? What do you think?
Just a musician. Yeah, I think like a songwriter for sure. Say a poet, I would say like there's a lot of poetic like elements and like nature to like a lot of the songs in this record. But I'm definitely like a musician and like a songwriter. That's what I would think, and like an artist. And generally, those things carry a lot of you wear a lot of hats. Matt, you know.
You are well as a poet or a songwriter. You're painting a picture for people to visualize in their head, but you're using words. And they're specific, like blue above the green. It's funny when I listen to that and I hear the words, I really picture everything in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was intentional. And that song is that's your single. It's a real standout.
Yeah, I see. Thanks.
Is that your favorite? Is that your favorite or?
No, it's not my favorite. But I do think it's a good song, and it like does, you know what I said about it being both specific and universal. The first lyrics to that song are, it says, "We hiked up the mountain in the woods. I thought maybe we could make out." And
that's it.
And it's, you looked up through the branches of the sky and we named the constellations. You know, that's like so universal in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Because like everybody's gone on a hike, you know, up a hill or a mountain.
True.
Like in the Evergreens maybe, and also everybody's like felt that time when they are infatuated with somebody. But then also that moment is like a very specific that's a specific person, that's a specific day, and a specific like park, Goldstream Park outside of Victoria, you know, BC. And I like know it was in April, right? It was like it was the early summer, you know, or in the spring. And you know, the spring is the time of of love or infatuation, right? Of the season. And so I think like, yeah, I have a lot of like, there's a lot of universal things in that song, but it's also like very specific to me. And I think that's how you can kind of choose the things to say and choose the things to tell people, is when like you were there and you tasted and touched and smelled and felt things. Yeah. And kind of the medium for other people to understand that and hear that in the words are like kind of some of the universal natures of them. So, you know, when it says you looked up through the branches of the sky and you named the constellations, people kind of know that feeling or what that is. Whereas if it's something like way too, you know, it's descriptive. Yeah, I think it's just like describing like you're in a situation and what is around you. So I don't know, what else does that song say?
It's kind of like, well, it made me think, you know, like Van Morrison, Brown Eyed Girl, or certain songs he does. Yeah. You get kind of a visual, and I kind of got a visual with that one.
Yeah.
And I liked, and it sounds, I called it kind of Mumford and Sons sound like, it kind of sounds like Mumford and Sons. Yeah. At first I thought you had a violin, and then I saw the video, you have a cello.
That song? Yeah, there's a violin on the record. But
okay, so I did hear the violin. I also heard keyboards. Are there keyboards? I thought there were keyboards. I put a question mark.
On the recorded song?
Yeah, on the recorded song.
Yeah, I think there is.
Okay.
I don't really remember, actually.
When I listen to songs, I dissect them in my head.
Also,
I play music, so I always like to hear all the different instruments and the arrangements, you know, how they are.
Yeah, and then,
another song that really stood out to me is More Than the Summer.
Yeah.
I call that, it's almost an alternative rock song, I call it, like an indie rock song.
Yeah.
But it actually sounds really good.
Another one I liked a lot was Hell Exists.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that one's really fun live playing it.
Yeah, because I think with the acoustic guitar and it has a pretty good beat and everything, and I really like that one a lot too. When did you start writing music or playing music? I mean, were you in the school band, or what's kind of your background?
I started playing drums when I was about 13 years old in a Blink-182 cover band and at church.
Okay.
So those are two slightly opposing, places.
Well, they're kind of some of the churches are kind of modern nowadays, so.
Blink-182 is a little. They're pop punk band.
True.
So they have an album called "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket." So.
Yeah, I guess that would be. I hear you.
So I think those generally were, two kind of two opposing themes.
Yeah.
In some ways, but I think that speaks to me in some ways, being kind of in the neck of the woods of both of those.
So you liked punk music. I mean, you don't just.
It was like pop. I just grew up in a small town and said yes to the kids that wanted to, kind of the more badass kids that needed someone to play drums in their garage with them and have a beer or two. So I said yes. So I wouldn't say I was into punk music, but I'd say I learned to play.
That was what the
drum
kids,
beats.
Right. The kids were doing that. So, I mean, what did you listen to growing up? What were the kind of groups that you felt an affinity towards?
What did I listen to?
Yeah.
I don't know. What did I listen to? I grew up on a farm. I didn't listen to a ton of music. I listened to that. I probably started listening to music in when I was grade 7 or 8, which was some stuff that was kind of from church and Blink-182. I learned the drums off that. That was actually one of the first.
So you were kind of isolated. You weren't really, you're almost untainted in a sense. All your styles you kind of developed on your own. I mean, you didn't really pick it up from.
I grew up in a very rural place.
Yeah. Well, tell me about it, because that's different. I mean.
What?
I mean, you lived on a farm. I mean, there were farm animals, or I mean, let's talk about that.
We had pigs and mostly a wheat and grain farm.
Oh, okay.
So it's an hour outside of Calgary, Alberta. Most people, if they go there, they think it feels like it's in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just I don't know, very rural is the best way to put it. So you're not no one played a lot of music around there. It's a pretty religious community as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Conservative, I would presume.
Yeah, you could say that pretty easily. Yeah, which I don't see as a. I don't say that. I don't use the word conservative a ton, because sometimes in the more musical worlds it's seen as a negative word. But it definitely was a conservative place. But also just more importantly than that, it's very rural, because you don't get a lot of music in super rural environments in on the prairies or something.
So if you were to buy something, did you even have internet? I mean,
a few years behind anybody who'd live in a major city, that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
But we had dial-up till I graduated high school. That was 10 years ago, but but yeah, I remember grades 11, 12 starting downloading stuff on Napster.
Yeah.
But it was super slow.
Yeah, I did that too.
And it's just I wouldn't say I don't look back to then even and think I remember listening to Coldplay when I was grade.
I liked them too.
10, 11, 12 in high school or something.
Right, in the 90s.
Rush Blood to the Head, Parachute. And that was kind of just what I was kind of subject to in some ways. But I think back then you don't even have you don't have the internet to discover a ton of things. So you're basically listening to the radio a little bit, and but it's not like today where you can go and discover any kind of popular music on the internet. Or there was very few there's not a lot of shows, especially in that rural environment. You can like drive to the city for an hour and maybe like go to some shows.
Wow.
There, but it's not like there was no music scene really.
I find it fascinating. It's almost like Kings of Leon.
Yeah.
You know, because they had a kind of a isolated religious background, and then they just kind of busted loose.
Yeah.
And they're a really good band. That's why, I mean, so you just started after the drums, you just picked up the guitar and you just started singing for your own pleasure? I mean, how did this all evolve?
Yeah, I think so. That's kind of how I did it. Well, I would I was listening to Blink-182 and playing in church, so I just played some church songs on the guitar after that, and I started to play, and then Coldplay is a little chiller than Blink-182, so I play those kind of things maybe. Mm-hmm. But I think I wanted to write and play in a band that didn't kind of suck and people who didn't know, I wanted to kind of do my own thing because maybe the first band I was in, it was just we had some fun and played some shows, but it wasn't too it wasn't something that lasted or was even did a ton or anything like that. So.
So did when you went to college, is that when you started thinking about music as a profession? I'm just trying to figure out a little bit about your history here.
I moved to Germany when I graduated high school, and I played a bunch of music over there, actually.
Oh, okay.
There's just this small English-speaking school of 100 students, and there's kind of just a lot of music there, in some senses. So I think that's kind of where I got my first taste of this is, and it was a big part of the community and the people. There was just a lot of who were always playing songs and always putting stuff together, and it was really fun. It was it was kind of a gap year of mostly college age people. And so I think when I came back to Canada, after that I did go to school for music for 2 years.
Okay.
Because I was kind of really intrigued, but I didn't know a lot, about music or how to get good or how to even play a show or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So okay, we went to Germany out of high school, or you went to high school there? I'm trying to.
Right after high school, a gap year.
After high school.
Program.
So that really was a big culture shock in a sense, probably going from rural Calgary over to Germany.
Yeah, it was good. My two best friends died in my last year of high school, so I was definitely keen on leaving this town that was. I'd grown up in my whole life and had a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. Mm-hmm. Really stoked to you're 18, you're 19 years old, you want to travel the world.
True.
So I was pretty stoked on that. And it was this weird, American, Canadian, German subculture there. It wasn't true Germany in some senses.
So I mean, you hung with all probably Americans and Canadians.
Yeah, they're a third American, third Canadian, and a third German. I'd say.
It's like being at a military base. Well, we have military bases in Germany, so you're isolated. Yeah. You're not really German in Germany. So yeah, I see what you're saying. So. Yeah. Then you went to school for music, and then you started taking it seriously. I mean,
yeah.
So how did you hone in your style? I mean, did you go to coffee shops, or this is just you? This is straight you with no influence.
Don't grab the bass style.
Yeah.
My style. Let's see. I don't know. I just started listening to music. I think you're always as an artist, you're always crafting your style because you are who you are. Mm-hmm. You are where you're from. But then you're also when you're an artist, you're not satisfied with what you're currently doing most of the time.
True. Well,
you are. You can be oh, that song is great. I love the song they wrote. But the next album that you do, you're not oh, let's just do that same thing again. Mm-hmm. You're always trying to evolve.
I
That's for sure.
So right now, Are you a full-time musician or do you have a day job? A lot of people I talk to have day jobs. I mean, what's...
I don't have a day job. I just play music.
Okay, so you're full-time then.
Yeah. I live, I'm 29. I live pretty cheaply. I go on the road a lot, especially lately.
Now, the name of the album is India, Seattle, but you have quite a other... I saw on the internet you have quite a lot of... How I say it? You have a lot of other albums. What number is this?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh, this is like, I'd say my sophomore album. I do have, I released another full length in 2011, and then I've released a couple, 5-song EPs.
Oh, maybe that's what I see. So what's the other album was? Is that the East Shore, West Shore?
So my last album is called The Last of Our Mountains.
The Last of Our Mountains. Okay, let me put that down. That's album 1 then. Album 1. And the others are all EPs, like Hide from the Seasons, The Country Where I Came From, East Shore, West Shore. Those are all EPs.
So Hide from the Seasons is my first solo EP. And then The Last of Our Mountains is the first solo album. And then The Country Where I Came From was just a 7-inch with More Than the Summer on it in 2012. And then India, Seattle here is 2015, second sophomore album.
Okay. So then India, Seattle, got that. Now you're down in Albuquerque. Are you going? Is this a tour, or this is just a one-shot deal, or what?
Yeah, we're doing I think there's 17 dates of the tour. So we're playing. This is kind of the third show of the tour.
Okay, and this is mostly from your new album then. Mostly all the songs you're doing.
Yeah, that's why we're on tour, supporting the new album. Yeah.
Now, where are you going? Mostly mountain areas? I mean, you're in New Mexico. Where are you going now?
Flagstaff, New Mexico, San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
San Francisco, Portland, Seattle.
You're working your way back up.
Spokane, a few other places in Washington, and kind of that's the gist of it, yeah.
I saw that you have a Kickstarter for 12-inch vinyl. Is that still going on? You want to talk about that?
That I did this summer. It ended at the end of August, and I was just kind of raising a little bit of support and awareness and money to get India, Seattle on 12-inch vinyl press. I actually just got these. We were outside of San Diego yesterday, and I just got them 2 days ago there, and so we assembled the first 60 vinyls, and I'm looking at them right now.
Let me.
You're in this theater in Albuquerque.
Let me write this down. So your vinyls are out now.
Yep.
12-inch vinyls or 6-inch? You said what?
These are 12-inch albums.
12-inch vinyls. Okay, so they're out now for the new album. How nice is that? That's excellent. In fact, I've been trying to drag my turntable out to get it set up. I like albums. So what's in store for 2016? That's my last question.
Well, 2015 here is the busy one, and after this, I'll take 3 or 4 months off the road and probably just write a bunch and play a few select shows kind of locally. But I'll release the album in Germany in 2016. And probably play some festivals in the summer, but mostly this year's been a really busy year, and I'm just looking forward to a couple months off the road and probably start writing the next album, even though that's kind of how it happens. You
Well, true.
This album is just coming out in the States right now, but I've had this album finished for a year and a half, so I'm kind of in my artistic space, I am moving past, this album in a way, even though it's a lot of
it's stuff that you probably wrote a long time ago but it's now you're just performing it. So
a long time ago.
That's what I figured. When you write songs, do you just sit there and write them first on an acoustic guitar and then get your band together and play, or how are you just?
That's mostly how I wrote this last record. I think when I write, I think I'll collaborate a lot more on some of the new stuff that I'm writing and stuff. So,
the new stuff that you're writing is how the style, how's it compared to this? Is it kind of...
I haven't really started writing it yet.
Okay, so it's in your head. It's going to come out then. All right, Mike, it was a pleasure, and we'll get this out, okay?
Awesome. Okay, Sharice, thank you so much for talking to me.
All right, thanks. We'll see you later. Okay. Bye-bye.
Good. Okay, bye.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
Thanks for the intro melody. It's called Get On Down by Billy Bass Alford. Thanks.